What's up, party people? Let's break down this rebuild I'm doing for the Jaguars to help you. I know a lot of you are struggling. You've had questions. Some of you have even wondered if the Falcons and the Rams defense has been nuked in the last update. I don't think it has. I think everything's pretty much the same. Usually, playbooks don't change unless they add plays. For this, I don't want to promise you that it's like one ability for a coach or a player that does anything. I'm just going to give you the whole picture of how I got a 15-2 season with the Jaguars after 4 seasons, everything I was doing, and what each player has, and what abilities for coaching I was using, and how I was doing it. I'm again not saying it's one specific thing. I'm just going over what worked for me, and hopefully that can help you. Why I further test this and try to figure out if it's one ability or not, maybe a combination. But at least for now, we have some kind of framework to go with, and hopefully this helps you apply it to your rebuilds, and then you have more success. So I can't promise you that this is the most magical answer you're looking for, or it's one ability. But hopefully, like I said, I give you something that you can take with you and will help you while we keep testing simulations to see what really works. There has to be one ability, right? Maybe. If not, then it's a couple abilities. But I'm just gonna go over what made me successful, and hopefully that leads to you being successful as well. Let's get into it. All right, so we are in the playoffs of year 4 of this Jaguars rebuild. Many of you might know that I was fired from the Jags in my first 3 rebuild tries, and then finally got it nailed down with using the right playbook. So let's go over the playbooks we're using, and then we'll go over the team, like what it looks like now. I haven't really been uploading this Jaguars rebuild. I just been doing it on my own, so I can see what's going on and learning on my own. It's not really about building the Jags, it's just about learning what's successful and hearing what you guys are having problems with. So for most of you, I've been in this scheme the whole time. I've been in Atlanta's offense with the West Coast zone run, LA Rams with the Skies 3-4, going for the most sacks, going for the most passing yards and touchdowns to the slot. That's what we're building on. Trying to build up the running back. We let ETN go. So we'll look at the roster we're at now. I will tell you, and I'll go over this again in the coaching abilities, but I had, for the most of the season, was using my coaching abilities for scouting, developing, and that's pretty much it. Try to get Lawrence up, but using the Atlanta playbook helped the most. A guy we drafted here, Alex Conrad. This is year 2 or 3, and it's been a grind building him up, but he's getting there. We accidentally drafted Cam Leake, and he made Bashal Tootin expendable. So we, not the greatest comparative. It's not, we don't have Barkley or anything like that, but he works. You'll see, like our rushing numbers still aren't great. A lot of your rushing numbers have to do with the playbook and your running backs overall. Fullback, just some guy. Now Brian Thomas and Travis Hunter are really good, and I got both of them to X Factor the last 2 years, just putting them in the slot, and they'd have a couple big games in a row, and then they'd move up in development. So I used both of them, and I rotated them in and out, and then I traded for this Alfonso Roberts guy, and he just probably plays on the outside, and he's built up pretty nicely. But it's all about Travis Hunter and Bryce Thomas Jr. I will say Travis Hunter is probably a better slot player in this system for whatever reason. It could be abilities, and we'll talk about his abilities later. And I've pretty much tried to collect cornerbacks so Travis Hunter doesn't have to play too much corner, because it's a pain in the butt to flip him back to a corner to build up him as a corner. So I just want him to be a wide receiver. It's just, I don't got time for that. Luke Musgrave's our tight end, and really you can use any tight end. It doesn't really get featured in this offense. My offensive line, this is where I use a lot of my coaching ability. So replacing and upgrading the offensive line. For most of the betterment of the past 2-3 seasons, I've put my coaching abilities towards during the preseason and most of the regular season towards building my offensive line while also drafting guys. I found guys later in drafts and really draft high on them. You can find really good interior offensive linemen, and some you can move to the outside, and they have development traits. Like this Jamie Harbour guy I think he was projected as an undrafted free agent, and he was a hidden development superstar while Mile came. But excuse me, I found a bunch of backup players later in the draft that had lower overalls but were star hidden developments, and they've been just getting built as well through training, and we'll go over that. Trayvon Walker, he's been very good. This man was listed as a defensive lineman, but he's 6'5", 289. And then Josh Allen, he's just a beast in general. He's one of the main reasons why we had such a huge season. So we'll go over him and his abilities soon. But just in general, Josh Allen's pretty successful on his own when it's a CPU-controlled team. We signed Javon Dexter, and just like our offensive line, we've been building up defensive linemen using defensive line XP coaching things, and you can find these guys all over the draft and in free agency too. So I mean, you go into undrafted free agents and you can find lower overall guys that are high 60s that have star development, and they build up pretty quick. They're all nose tackles, and some of them have ridiculous speeds and all that stuff for guys their size. This guy's 6'4", 339, 72 speed, 78 acceleration. That's pretty big and pretty fast. So he's pretty good. Jack Kaiser's been here. Sam's really not the most important thing, although somehow Jack Kaiser got superstar after last year. Had to bring in Dre Greenlaw this year on a 1-year deal. He was only like an 82 overall Mike, so he worked just fine. Devin Lloyd's been here. He can actually fill in as a pass rusher if it needs to be. And then Tyson Campbell, this will probably be his last year, but him and Hunter have always pretty much been low 80 overall corners. And then I've also been focusing on trying to build these corners I've drafted. I've done a lot of focusing on drafting corners, especially because I don't want Hunter playing corner. I explain why. Just annoying to try to build him up as a corner and a wide receiver. Brought in Jabril Peppers. He's our sub linebacker. Doesn't really start. It's all about Caleb Ransall, but he's taking a long time to build. Like I said, this is year 4 and he's still only 85. And then this guy's already almost as good as him, Mark Fredrickson. He's a rookie star development. And then kickers just, doesn't really matter, but have a pretty good young long snapper anyways. Draft picks, always you'll have multiple draft picks. I seem to want to have later round draft picks, and if you use the Jags, they are missing their first round draft pick, so kind of get off to the start where I needed to learn how to be better later in the draft. Let's look at the stat numbers of what this team did. That's kind of where it's at right now. So Trevor Lawrence threw for 4,400 yards, 51 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions. He really came on down the stretch. And part of that is because of coaching abilities and I think how well the defense played. Alec Conrad, this is his first year of going over 1,000 yards. He had 5 rushing touchdowns. And of course, he can't have that many touchdowns when all the red zone touchdowns are going to Travis Hunter. He had 101 catches, 1,486 yards, and 28 receiving touchdowns as the primary slot player. Now, I've had Brian Thomas in there in the past, but for whatever reason, this team wins more with the number 2 wide receiver, Travis Hunter, in the slot. And then this man, he's the 3rd wide receiver, and of course he moves to the outside when Hunter moves inside, and he saw 71 catches for 841 yards and 5 touchdowns. And then out of nowhere, Luke Musgrave had a really good season with 71 catches, 660 yards, and 10 receiving touchdowns. So you could tell who the ball went to in the red zone for the most part. And then just the most ridiculous sack numbers I've ever seen. Josh Allen Hines, 35 sacks, really out of nowhere. It also to be mentioned, this is his final year of his contract, so he's playing for a new one. And I have always seen players that need a new contract play well in that final year. I swear, I can't prove that's anything, but it just seems like players that need a new contract always play well. And then when we look at the team stats, the Jags are at number 4 in total yards, first in points. They've thrown the most passing touchdowns. Not really the greatest on the rushing department, and they also had the most first downs. And then defensively, they're number 1, giving up the least points, have the most sacks, and they still have 13 interceptions. So let's get into why I think I've gotten here. Oh, another thing to mention is Josh Allen Hines really finished the season strong, just like Trevor Lawrence, and that's when we started using coaching abilities more. Here I want to go over how I do weekly training. I will put this on full for everybody, and then you just hit square to confirm. I go down the list for each individual person. I won't mess with anyone with just missing 1 bar. I'll leave that. But if they have 3 or less, they're getting rest for the week in practice. And that seems to have worked pretty well for me. We still have injuries. I have them on, but nothing too crazy. And we're just going to sim through here and get through this training camp. And then we're going to get to the division round of playoffs so you can start seeing what abilities I've been using. All right, so here's where the magic happened for sure. Most of these coaching abilities slots were taken up, so get rid of these. Week 1, I put this in. Now, I've come to find out about Tier 3. There's a scout ability that you can hire 3 Tier 3 scouts, so I'll be doing that. I didn't realize there was one, but now, we'll go purchase him, especially if we have all these points built up. So 4 spots for the season most of the season went to corner, D-line, O-line, and after school, which gives you a 10% increase in training XP for all players when you get it up to the highest level, and then you get 3 additional focus players. And you got to pay attention to duration, so I make sure that these fell off once the playoffs started. So I finished the season not using them, and then since I wasn't using them in the end of the season, I think this was kind of important. I used bookend busters, and it's got finesse moves for your edge defenders, and then significant block shed success for all defensive linemen with sheddables. That was 2 big ones that were always locked in, and then I was messing with some stuff on the offense, but nothing too crazy that really mattered there. And then as far as play sheets, so during the season when I had all these here, was all focused on building the offensive players and some defensive players, but I focused on my defensive play sheets here. I didn't really use any offense except for red zone. And of course, guess what? My man went off in the red zone, right? That's where Travis Hunter had a huge bunch of success. And as far as coaching abilities, stop the run, 3-4. I think this 3-4 play sheet is really important. I don't know if it works for every playbook. Maybe the 4-3s use this. But when we were doing the live rebuild together, it seemed like these 3-4 and 4-3 play sheets really work well. So this is pretty much my setup here. Red zone, nickel play sheet, 3-4 play sheet, and run stop. I built them up the most. Pay attention to what your playbook has. Like if there's no 4-2 formation in your playbook, don't use that. It always wants you to use 4-6 and stuff like that. So pay attention to what you have, and Bachelor Blitzes was, okay for a while. Master of Disguise might be. I never really built them up. I just kept going with what worked, and this is what worked for me. And then the training abilities. I always use Game Shield and Off-Field Rejuvenation. Those are the ones I've always used. Game Shield, highest levels, reduce wear and tear taken during games by 25%. And then Off-Field Rejuvenation, increased rate at which players recover from wear and tear during games by 15%. So it seems to do pretty well for me and help me build a really great squad. Now, as far as individual abilities, we'll go over each player here. Trevor Lawrence got X Factor coming into the season. He's got Bazooka, Red Zone Deadeye, another thing that, helped throwing the ball in the red zone to the slot. Sideline Deadeye, Pocket Deadeye, Inside Deadeye, and Fearless. Does pretty well. He used to have, when he was lower, Agile Extender, and he was rushing for a lot more. He actually rushed for over 10 touchdowns using Agile Extender. And then the main guy here, Travis Hunter, X Factor. Here's his traits: rack receiver, red zone jammer, play ball, showboat, elusive instinct, and discipline. I think run after catch has a lot of things to do with players being even more successful. So he has Yakum. Recuperation, I just had this on him because he was playing both sides of the ball, short out elite and route technician. That's all he has. This is what he's been. It doesn't seem that crazy, right? And he was very successful, as you can see. And then as far as Josh Allen Hines go, superstar. His traits were bullish and freestyler. He had no outsiders, strip specialist, and edge threat. That's all he had. Nothing, no other X factors, not a ton of abilities. So there you go. That's pretty much my setup there. If you have any questions, let me know. Let's see if we can finish this out and get a Super Bowl win. I did all my training. We have a tough matchup here, but we're at home. We have the bye. Playing a tough Ravens team. We have a slight edge here, and I think with everything the way it's gone this year, we should knock this out of the ballpark. And if we don't, that'd be the craziest thing. Now, we won. We got the system down right here. It's pretty good. Let's take a look at this game. We won 28-20. We did get an injury. It is Ezra Cleveland. Don't worry, we have a backup running back that's going to be taking his place next year, and he's just as good. So let's take a look at the schedule. We are 1 win away from a Super Bowl. Trevor Lawrence, 3 touchdowns and an interception. Conrad, not doing great, but we're playing the Ravens. They have a really good defense. And then Travis Hunter, 3 for 62 and 3 receiving touchdowns. And then Brian Thomas had 6 for 85 on the outside. Defensively, Trayvon Walker, 2 sacks. Javon Dexter, I should say, sack and a half. Greenlaw, half a sack. And we got an interception from Greenlaw. So there you go. Let's do some more training, and we'll keep it going. So for the 3rd year in a row, we find ourselves in the AFC Championship game. This time we're the home team. We're taking on another really tough team, the Buffalo Bills. They're pretty much identical as far as overall. We have the slight edge. As you can see, they run the ball very well. They do not pass the ball very well, so I'll be interested to see if they have a different coach. As you can hear, there's another Madden going on behind me as we test the slow sim. So, moment of truth is here. Do we have the secret sauce? Do we have the secret formula to make these playbooks successful and get this team its first Super Bowl appearance? Let's find out together. No, my God. It's stacked against us, right? It's... three AFC championships in a game. Well, that's disappointing. as you see, get the stats, we get to the playoffs, but got to keep grinding. So hopefully we can figure out what we need to get us over the hump. That's just very disappointing. Defense played great, but at the end of the day, the offense didn't play great. So I guess you need to have a ridiculous super team to get there, and we'll keep rebuilding. But I mean, I don't know. Can you be upset with 4 playoff appearances, 3 AFC Championship game appearances? I mean, it keeps you playing. It's interesting, but it's disappointing at the end of the day when you have a 15-2 team that's really good, not playing the best when it mattered the most. And the crazy thing is, we had both the players of the week. Maybe Trevor Lawrence just got the MVP bug, and they don't. Madden doesn't seem to favor the MVPs or the Coach of the Year. Trayvon Walker, you did have 4 sacks, so there's that. I mean, the stats were there. It just we didn't win. All right, so an unfortunate result at the end of the day. Still need to figure out what can get us over the hump in the playoffs, but I think we sort of have the secret sauce, the abilities and playbooks we need to have a dominant season and put up some ridiculous stats. But I'm going to keep working on what gets you into the Super Bowl and wins the Super Bowl. Right on the cusp, I mean 3 AFC championships in a row. Still can't get it done. I have a feeling it has something to do with the running backs and running the ball or abilities for your offense. I mean, everything is great, but of course, the teams you're facing also have coaches with coaching abilities and probably adjust to what you're good at. Whatever it is, we're going to figure it out, but we're doing this together. And hopefully right now, what I gave you helps you get to this point, and then we can figure out how to go from here. So I appreciate you. Please like and subscribe. If you can, there's a option down in the comments where you can boost the video. Apparently, boosting videos helps you get noticed. I don't know if it works, but hey, if you can help me out, that'd be great. Trying to get our word out there about how to rebuild in Madden 26 for your quick sim and slow sim needs. And anyway, thanks again, and I will see you next time. Peace.